Hello and welcome to Mini-sode 3 of the WoAS podcast. Today we're going to be speaking about Post Malone and Bob Dylan. Jeremy, I know that you have some thoughts on this subject, but to just quickly intro it, Bob Dylan and Post Malone had agreed to do a collaboration of sorts. May you elaborate on the subject?
Yeah, so the story goes, Post Malone's a big Bob Dylan fan. If you go to his YouTube, he has one video on his pre-fame YouTube
Mm-hmm.
where he's doing a Bob Dylan cover of "Don't Think Twice, It's All Right." And he has a Bob Dylan tattoo apparently on his left bicep,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
many other tattoos
Yeah.
um, on his face and things,
Right.
as we all know.
Yep.
But Bob Dylan found out he's a fan and wrote a song. He had some lyrics, and he asked Post Malone to make a song out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Post went into the studio, did a recording apparently,
Yeah.
and it it nothing ever came out. And Bob Dylan is not a man known for his patience,
Right.
and so he told Post Malone apparently that the deal was passed and to not ever use the lyrics in any song
Wow.
of this.
Pretty
That
harsh.
Yeah, so this was kind of an interesting story to me because you got a couple of legends. I mean, Post Malone is I would say at this point, a modern legend,
Sure.
and Bob Dylan working together potentially, and then for it to kind of go sideways is interesting. And I saw this article come out, and I thought we should talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Well, let me say this first. When you are, even if you are someone of notoriety like Post Malone, when
Mhm.
you're a newer comer, whatever you want to call it, and you're dealing with someone who has that level of fame and notoriety and history behind them,
Mhm.
is it invalid to feel some level of humility and maybe be ready for them to tell you to fuck off? I don't know. I feel like from an old school perspective, most of us would say that, oh, if the authority on this subject, like a teacher almost,
Yeah.
doesn't approve of something, I'm going to expect them to chastise me if I don't do my homework or I don't do something correct. So,
Right.
I'll just put that out there is,
Well, if
you know,
Bob Dylan ever told me to fuck off, it'd be probably a highlight of my life.
that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Probably
that would be
mine
pretty
too.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, everyone likes praise and acknowledgement, but yeah.
Yeah.
A quick request.
Oh, hey, didn't see you there. You like this video? Leave a comment down below. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe. We'll make more content like this. It helps the algorithm.
End of request.
So
So are
anyway, yeah.
you a big a Bob Dylan fan or a Post Malone fan for that matter?
Yes. So Post Malone, not so much. I have become increasingly aware of his layers of talent, let's say, and his versatility in the last couple of years. I would point to the Nirvana concert that he did as one example of, what he's capable of and maybe some of his roots. And then there are things that you, Jeremy, shared with me earlier today. The video, or I guess yesterday, the video of him playing the Dylan song, and then the NPR Tiny Desk concert, which maybe we'll circle back to, but was very impressed by that. So I would say I'm starting to become a fan of things like that.
Right.
Just to kind of for now put the button on it, that he's got such a level of talent that a lot of the production that is imposed on his recordings need not be there. I would like to just hear him sing without auto-tune treatments and arrangements that kind of take away from the beauty of a lot of the chord progressions and things that are going on in some of his songs, because I heard more of that come out in the Tiny Desk concert example. Dylan, yes, but to a very limited degree.
Uh-huh.
I tend to I like Highway 61 Revisited.
Yeah.
I don't really like early Dylan where he kind of sounds like Kermit.
Yeah.
I don't like latter Dylan because to me
Skyline.
it's what's that?
Nashville Skyline, that's the
Yeah,
one where he's really puts on this kind of country Nashville
yeah.
accent.
Like what comes to mind is like a whatever colors you have
Yeah,
on your
Nashville
mind.
Skyline.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
go. But also I don't like the latter Dylan sound in the same way that I don't care for latter Elvis Costello, where everyone's like, "Oh, he's such a genius," and I feel the same way about Leonard Cohen and Wayne Coyne from the Flaming
Yeah.
Lips. But that's not to say that the guy's not brilliant, isn't an amazing lyricist, and does not have this amazing catalog of stuff. I'm a big fan of several other songs from other eras, but also his work with the Traveling Mulberries.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and I'm therefore very much aware of him and his impact, and what how he's influenced other artists, and through just general influence, but then covers of his music and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There's not a guy that's much more influential than Bob Dylan. And I think a lot of people in this day and age
Absolutely.
don't really realize that,
Yeah.
how influential he was at the time and still
Mhm.
is. We still hear echoes of things he was doing back then,
Yeah.
even like singing style in some cases. Maybe not to the same degree as his amazing lyricism, but
Yeah.
yeah, Dylan. I love Dylan. I was in a Bob Dylan cover band for a little bit playing
Oh,
guitar,
okay.
and so I learned a bunch of his stuff and
Interesting.
like became a much bigger fan that way than I would have been. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he probably is. I mean, just a genius as far
Hmm.
as music goes and the way his mind works. He writes really unique lyrics in ways that other people, you can't match Bob Dylan's lyrics.
Yeah, no, not really. I would agree with that. Even with overtly popular examples like a Rolling Stone, and Subterranean Homesick Blues.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in there, both like rhythmically, lyrically, or even the stuff on the Rolling Thunder review, the like Isis and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Which is great. Another thing though, because you were mentioning like his voice, and something interesting about him that a friend of mine pointed out years ago, and Hendrix kind of at points had this same kind of like character, but I remember my friend going like, use it probably that song, the Isis from Rolling Thunder review.
Hmm.
We're watching it, he's pointing at moments, he's going, notice that like he has this haphazard way of singing, he's like, but he's never out of tune. So it's
Never.
just sort of right, so it's just sort of, he's
Yeah.
like, there's not always this like controlled cohesion to the way he does melodies, but every note that he's hitting is never sharp or flat, which is like bizarre. you know
Yeah, he's incredible. He really, I think, hit his stride in that mid 70s era into the 80s,
hmm
like Rolling Thunder Review, and then all the way through the tour with like Tom Petty
yeah.
and the Heartbreakers. And
hmm
I mean, he was really killer. And he's not appreciated for his vocals, but I saw an
Exactly,
interview
yeah.
once where someone was interviewing him. They asked him like, "What are you most proud of from your music?" And he's like, "The way I sang it."
Oh, interesting.
I mean, everything
Good
is
for him.
a choice for him.
Yeah.
I think he's that level of artist where he could have sang it a different way. And like Nashville Skyline, he has that Kermit the Frog voice you're talking about,
Yeah.
and he can sing things sometimes where he really does have a pretty voice,
hmm
but he went for that more gravelly, earthy, rootsy kind of voice on purpose,
yeah.
bring in all those blues influences. And I think he knew, and maybe this we can talk about how Post Malone also does this, but he knew like, okay, this is the sound I need to get in people's homes, get in people's ears, get people to listen to this.
Yeah, and I mean it's almost abrasive at points. Like if we're talking about, I guess probably like whenever the shift came when they went electric,
Hmm.
and he had the band backing him up, where it's almost like punk
Yeah,
in the context of like where and when it was happening. I mean, it was certainly punk in the sense that like when they showed up at Newport Folk Festival and everyone's
right.
like booing him because they're all electric and so
Yes.
it's like, it doesn't get more rock and roll than that, I guess.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, I guess there can be some parallels drawn. Not so much, we have yet to see sort of where Austin Post,
Post.
whatever his name, goes from here on forward, and what
Yeah.
legacy he'll leave behind. But certainly got a lot of parallels in terms of like being able to do different sort of singing styles and
Right.
characters and things like that, and types of music. It would be interesting to see him do some side projects where he's just like fronting band, or he's a member, maybe like something like a Raconteurs where it's like a couple of
Oh yeah.
ace players from different outfits all banding
Yeah.
together.
I wonder if Post Malone just feels like there's not an audience for that more raw type of singing that doesn't have the crazy vocal production, all the auto tune on it, and he
Yeah,
knows, okay, this is what's going to sell. This is the market right now, and I'm just going to lean into it.
yeah,
And I think there probably is part of him that wants to do this other thing based on the Nirvana concert thing and the Tiny Desk thing where he doesn't have any of the auto tune on. And he's actually a really good singer.
yes, he
Uh,
is.
He has a very unique kind of warbly vibrato that I like when it's not auto tuned.
Mm-hmm.
It is auto tuned. It's one of my least favorite things ever. It
Yeah,
makes some of his songs really annoying to listen to for me.
yeah,
Just when you're hearing that with the auto
yeah,
tune on top
yeah,
of it. And that's become like a sound almost now. I've heard other people now copying his like warbly vibrato with auto tune. And so it's
yeah,
now there's a Post Malone sound other people are copying, and it's
yeah. Well, even the whole like, in a similar way, the whole like T-Pain thing that begat like, or led to where we are now. And also another guy that can really sing and doesn't need it. That's
right.
bizarre. Yeah, I was noticing that in the so on the Tiny Desk concert, the first three songs, it's Pay Me, Dangerous Territory, and Circles. And I noticed in it, somewhere between those three, him kind of hitting, well, first of all, he disclaims that like, he's nervous, he's in the middle of a tour, so his voice is a little messed up. And it's like not that messed up, but I get why he's singing, because it's like he does, it's very raw, and it gets shredded at certain points, but not always in
Yeah.
a pleasing way. And so I get
Uh-huh.
him disclaiming, but he still holds on to the notes, and he manages to execute it. Um, but so the characteristics remind me even of both J. Roddy Walston in The Business, like J. Roddy's voice, and Caleb Followill from Kings of Leon. I almost wonder if he was influenced by either or both of them,
Yeah, it
um,
might be. Yeah,
which is
so
kind of
he could
cool.
probably front like a real rock band and
Oh
get
yeah,
down dirty with it.
absolutely. And he's like got the look too. Like he could
Yeah.
just easily transition into that role too.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Um, yeah, yeah,
And he also plays guitar. He's like
hmm,
apparently a pretty good guitar player.
yeah,
Imagine him on stage just rocking some big power chords,
hmm,
playing some high falsetto
yeah.
or high tenor rock parts. That'd be
I'm
awesome.
yeah, I mean and he was, in that Nirvana, live stream that he did. He was really nailing it rhythmically, or not having seemingly not having any problem, holding it down. So uh which I can't always say the same for myself, if I
Yeah,
was just, playing like a concert straight through.
right.
Um so yeah, no, he's definitely a very together musician, and he belongs to be where he is. Yes, I wonder if with the
Yeah.
whole modern, you were calling it earlier today, like 2020s production sort of wrapping that he is within, or the bubble that he's in, I
Hmm.
wonder if it's like he's afraid to, I'm not criticizing him, like if rightfully so, if he's worried about like, if I step out of that, is it going to alienate fans, and is that going to cause a problem? Like, is it a paycheck thing, right? He doesn't want to mess with his income, or is it that, or he's got a lot of yes people being like, no, 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 this is what you should do all the time, keep doing that, and he's listening to that. Is it that he's in such demand with his peers, with collaborations and everything else, that like they're kind of keeping him grounded in that thing, or does he just really dig that style, and he's
Yeah.
like, this works, I don't want to mess with it. You have to wonder.
Yeah.
um
I heard a quote from him where he said, I'm good at one thing, and it's singing with auto tune.
yeah, which is like totally not true, as we're
Yeah,
saying.
totally not true.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's definitely being humble there.
this would be a good thing to just sort of like pitch to Post Malone on camera. Listen, let's talk about this. Let's help you navigate into some other
Yeah.
experimental territories, and come on the podcast and let's talk about it.
Yeah. Dude, if we could get Post Malone, that'd be amazing.
We can. We could do that.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see him take like a kind of Lady Gaga trajectory
Hmm.
where he gets so big and so famous that he just starts saying, fuck it, I'm just gonna do what I want to do.
And like wears meat dresses.
Yeah, well, I think the Beat Dresses was very much, on brand for Gaga, but like
Mhm.
she did an album with Tony Bennett, she's
Yeah.
doing
No, I know what you
did
mean.
a lot
Yeah.
of really interesting things where she
Sure.
got to really show off her vocal talents.
Yeah. Well, even Star is Born too. Even that was like
Yeah,
a
Star is
big kind of,
Born. Yeah, she's a
yeah.
huge talent.
Hmm.
Um, she didn't need all the auto tune and all these
Right.
crazy. techno pop vocal productions that were going on. Like those songs are still cool.
Yeah.
You hate pop music, you can't deny that Poker Face is a amazing pop song. But yeah, to see
I don't really like that one.
that's a good one, man. He was wrong. But to see somebody, go from that pop, cookie cutter kind of thing to
Yeah.
a way different sound and more authentic sound, that would
Sure.
be an interesting career trajectory for him.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, I think we're already saying this, but I think that what would be the harm? I mean, I think he's already established himself. It's not a problem. I would also imagine that the majority of his fans, probably about 80%, would just be like, all right, cool. It's some, as long as it wasn't he's like in a thrash metal band all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I think there's like a happy medium. I don't think he should just kind of go like just completely like
No.
like into prog rock or something like that. But just to change the arrangements would be cool. And again, we'll actually put the link to this in the description, but the NPR Tiny Desk concert really shows you a different side of him that you probably haven't seen, or at least I hadn't seen anyway.
Yeah,
So,
check that out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. So is that a wrap for a mini-sode?
I think that's a wrap on it, man.
Awesome.
I think we did it.
All right. Well, yeah, Jeremy, I'll see you on the next episode, whenever that is, and tip your waiters.
Wait staff.
Yeah, totally. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everyone, and hopefully the next time we talk about Post Malone, we'll be talking to Post Malone.
Let's make it happen.
All right, let's do it. All right, take care, Jeremy.
See you, buddy.
All right. Did you enjoy that episode? Yes? Would you like to see and hear more? Please like and subscribe, and you'll automatically receive notifications when we publish new episodes. Thanks for watching and listening to the WoAS podcast.